My friend.
Hello.
Okay, we're recording. So, just to check, before we go into it then, let's just recap on area of a triangle. What's the area of a triangle formula and why?
Whoa, wait, base times height divided by 2.
So we've got base times height, and then that's divided by 2 because...
A triangle is half of a rectangle.
Okay, so if we look at a rectangle, the most obvious one is if we take the triangle that is just half the rectangle. Now you don't necessarily need to make these notes because you've already got them. Okay.
The base times height is how to find the area of a rectangle.
Yeah.
So you just.
So this would be base, and the height. What's special about the height? What do we know about the height? Yeah.
You don't have to go like in the middle or another place of the triangle. It's just on the side.
I wouldn't say that was answering my question actually. But you're right, it doesn't have to be separate, but it does have to be very specifically one thing.
The height has to be, if you draw a line from
The highest point of the triangle, maybe?
yeah, from the highest point of the triangle down, it has to be perpendicular.
That's what I
to
want.
the base.
So the height has to be perpendicular to the base, right? Therefore, right, for instance, I'm going to change it up a little bit now. I'm actually going to say that in this rectangle, this is the base. Right? So I'm changing. Remember I've said the base does not have to be on the bottom. But I'm going to make a triangle like this. So is it still half the rectangle?
Yes.
Okay. But the height, we would say, is still this length here, isn't it? That's the height of the triangle from the highest point. So I could draw it inside. I think that's what Sierra was talking about. I don't have to draw it there. But that height there is the same as the length of the rectangle. So this would be the height. And it's perpendicular. Okay? Alright, so it's base times height gives you the rectangle, but then you only want half of it. So we've got that. You can add this to your notes afterwards if you like. I've got some worksheets for you to get on with, so if you feel that this is what you need, you can add it. We then talked about, I guess, parallelograms. Okay, so if we have a parallelogram, try careful to draw it actually as a parallelogram. Fair enough. So there's my parallelogram. So I've got this side is parallel to that side, and this side is parallel to that side. What's the formula for the area of the parallelogram?
The base times the height.
Just base times the height.
And this also, the height has to be.
Okay, and what's our justification for that?
Oh! Wait, is it?
Yeah, you're imagining the wonky rectangle, aren't you?
But because if you like cut off like one of the sides and then put it on the other side.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. If we actually cut this off like that, this triangle would end up over here, and we actually get the rectangle.
Oh my god.
Okay, so this here again would be the height, and this is the base. Now that's one way to look at it. Another way, potentially you might want to think of it, is that if you have a parallelogram, what was a parallelogram the same as? A wonky rectangle, but actually, what about thinking of it as
Two triangles.
two triangles again? And each triangle is base times the height, same height thing again, but you've got a triangle you'd have to divide by 2, but we've got 2 of them, so we It's 2 times divide by 2, which is the same as...
Cancels each other out, so
So we've got the base times the height. Again, the important bit is that the height has to be perpendicular to whatever you call the base. Alright? So that's your parallelogram. We remember how to spell it. Not tested, as long as it looks right. Then finally then, again, don't try and write these down as I'm going. I'm going too quickly. I can put it back on. I've got some sheets and it's kind of got this information on for you. Okay? Finally then, we need to look at a trapezium, which I asked you for your notes and I asked you to think about it. And so let's say that's a trapezium. Okay, that's one type of trapezium. Another type of trapezium is one that could look like this. There's lots of trapezium that you could use. Try to not draw it very well.
It's the same one.
It's not. So this one's right angles at the end. So the first one's an easy one to think about. So the area of a trapezium, right, on my sheets actually I printed off the American version which calls it a
Trapezoid.
trapezoid, same thing. What was the area of a trapezium? Ava?
Base times the 2 sides added together.
So if I call that A and B, you're saying A plus B.
Divided by 2, and then multiplied by the height.
Multiplied by the height, which would be, again, the height has to be perpendicular. And what's the reason again, which is what I asked you to do for homework? Some people did it very succinctly and nicely. Yeah, if you take, I think Laura did it, if you take one that's exactly the same and turn it upside down and slot it back in, you end up with, in both cases, so this one for instance, if I can draw it, how am I drawing it?
No, yeah.
I need to go longer.
No.
No, hang on, I'm going to make this one longer because I think
What? What?
and then that's like that. So I've got a parallelogram. This one would be easier to see because this one would be, if I put another one on, it's like a parallelogram, isn't it? But it actually is a rectangle. Okay? And the dimensions therefore, the A, this is where the A plus the B comes from, which a lot of you said. B, but this would be A. So the base would be A plus B. Okay? So there's the base. Okay? And
That's so smart.
the height is the perpendicular height. But we only want half of it. So we have to do divide. So I normally see the whole thing divide by 2. Okay? Because the A plus B is that length times by the height. So on this one here, if you had a slightly different one, the height would have to be again the perpendicular height. That's the most important thing. Must be the perpendicular height.
Perpendicular.
Is that all clear with that now?
Yeah.
So we've got triangles, we've got rectangles, triangles, parallelograms, trapezium. And we know the area. Now what about perimeter? Is that something we need to talk about?
No, just add all the sides up together.
We need to talk about perimeter when we have more compound shapes all put together, mixtures of the lot. Probably do. But what I've got for you now is some worksheets. So